Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friends of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Brad.
And I'm your other host, Sarah. There are two of us. Surprise!
Woo-hoo.
If you saw only Brad in London.
And I am severely jet lagged. Hooray!
And I am just regular old tired. Hooray!
Hooray! Yes, we are back. We are back podcasting. I am back from London. Star Wars Celebration Europe 2023. I don't know why they didn't call it Star Wars Celebration London, but that's besides the point. What a time.
What a time.
What a time. Oh my gosh. I missed you, Sarah.
Yeah.
It was weird because like I would be like texting you about things and you're like, I just woke up for work. And I'm like, yeah, but Daisy Ridley's back.
No, Brad. The best one was like 7 a.m. my time. And I literally have just opened my eyeballs, I am laying in bed and I get a call from you. And I think you have just walked out of the High Republic panel. I think that was the context of this. Uh-huh. And you were like, oh my God. And I'm like, I am literally just opening your tweet thread right now.
Yeah, the time difference is brutal. Even though it is only 5 hours.
I'm not even there yet.
It made it feel like US days were much longer than like the London days.
They were.
I don't know. I kept being like, oh, people are still working. Like I am getting dinner right now. I'm about to go to bed and somebody's just getting off of work right now. I can't do this.
Like, following a lot of like K-pop as I do now, they're like plus 13 from where we are or plus 12 for you than US time. And so it's always funny to me, like when at noon our time, like Jungkook will start a live and I'll be like, it's 3 a.m. right now. So it's one thing to like, for it to be like almost completely opposite. It's a whole other thing to be like just slightly off.
Right.
You know?
Well, guess what? Speaking of 13-hour time differences,
that's such a good segue. You're really good at this.
Star Wars Celebration 2025 is heading to Japan. Tokyo,
it's
Japan.
From Japan.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Flights are expensive. The time zone is severely ahead of where I live. It's going to be great. I get to spend 15 hours on a plane in a couple of years. I cannot wait. But if it means I get to attend the 10th anniversary panel of Force Awakens and the 20th of ROTS, it will all be worth it. Mm-hmm. For also the greatest merch store of all time at Star Wars Celebration.
Honestly, it's going to be the greatest merch store of all time. It better. In Japan, right? Like with the elevated commercial sense of Japan.
Yeah, and we have been waiting patiently and not getting any sequel trilogy crumbs in the Star Wars Celebration store for years. And if we don't get good sequel trilogy merch on the 10th anniversary of Force Awakens, all hope is lost. But I have a good feeling that we will finally be shilling out the money for the sequel trilogy merch once again.
And then you have to make sure that, your luggage isn't going way overweight as you lug it back to the States.
Right. It was great this time. I brought 2 suitcases. I didn't have to use my duffel bag. I brought a poster tube that did not get crushed this time. All my prints are fine.
Wow.
Nothing spilled
Proud of you.
in my bag.
Amazing.
Yeah.
See, I think 2025, putting it way out there, gives us a great opportunity as well to brush up on our Japanese language skills.
I started Duolingo.
Because I don't have Japanese language skills. So, now is the better time to start than ever, right? But right now I'm trying to figure out whether I'll be able to like swing it or not. Like I have a savings account that I specifically save. It's called Fun Money. But am I going to drain the entire Fun Money account for a flight to Japan? We'll see.
It's not just a flight to Japan. It is a flight to worlds beyond our own as you and I step into Tokyo Disneyland and once again ride Star Tours together 16 times.
You're going to have to talk to the other people you'll be attending with because you have to understand that Star Tours is a priority for me specifically. And I'm going to steal you away from other people to specifically ride Star Tours.
But this is the good thing because if I'm in a group of people and I'm the one that's like, hey, can we ride Star Tours 16 times today? They're going to be like, no, that's crazy.
I'll be like, yeah.
But if you're there and you want to ride Star Tours 16 times, then I can blame it on you. And then I can
That's so malicious.
I'm just joking.
Are we
I'm just
not in this
joking.
together?
No, we're in this together. We're in this together.
A team, a pair of Star Tours travelers.
It's better to have 2 crazed Star Tours travelers than the one.
You're right, because if you only have one, then you're lugging somebody along who's not as interested in Star Tours.
Right. So we can escape to that. And we just learned at the parks panel this weekend, we are getting new destinations next year.
That was a beautiful segue as well, Brad. You're just so good at this. You should do a podcast or something.
I need to know, what are your dream locations? Because I don't know if they specify that it's only going to be places that we haven't seen yet. I know places we haven't seen are included. There might be places that we have seen, but what would you want to see out of a new Star Tours attraction? Like if you had to pick 2 places, what would you want?
Crate and Canto Bight. Is Crate already a part of it? I don't think
Crate
it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Crate is? I don't think I've ever gotten it. Maybe once.
No, we got Crate. We got Crate the first time.
Okay.
Disneyland, and then we didn't get it again. We only got it once. Yeah.
Okay. Canto Bight.
That's a good one.
And I don't know. I saw somebody else say like the Eye of Aldani sequence.
I am pushing hard for the Eye. Imagine Diego Luna in the corner of the Star Tours flight talking to you through the screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like,
I'm in.
How could you ask for anything better than that?
See, I feel weird about, okay, this is going to sound a little ridiculous perhaps because it's Star Wars, but like I feel a little weird about the commercialization of Andor specifically, which is how like how serious that show is and how the word isn't premium, but like the word is like high quality or like prestige, like with how prestige that show is, to be like, and here's the Star Tours destination, and like here's the Narkina 5 prisoner shirt, and like I'm like, this is just like, and I'm not here. I'm gonna say this, but I'm really not coming after any cosplayers. But I really did not expect to see like a group of people chanting "One Way Out" throughout the convention floor. I went, oh wait, this is a part of Star Wars, and this is what Star Wars people like, including myself, do. So I was just like, that was a bit of like a shock for me. I think just seeing that news, I was like, oh wait, this is bound to happen. And not like in a negative way, but I'm just not expecting the commercialization of Andor in this way.
Yeah, I totally get that. But I think once you're there, it is pretty fun because the One Way Out chanters were awesome. They were committed to the bit. They went on stage with Diego and took a photo with him. And
I saw that.
They were loud and amazing. And I think Wilro Hood has some competition. The running. I didn't see any Wilro Hoods this weekend, so
there was a running of the hoods.
Okay, I missed it again for the 3rd time in a row.
Yeah, always missing it. There's too many things going on to always catch that. But somebody was like, I lost track of my husband for an hour, and then he sends me this selfie, and it's a selfie of this gentleman like on stage at the panel, like in the costume with everybody else, and I was like, this is my favorite tweet.
Yes, that is Amy Rickow's husband, who I also learned met Michael Siglain finally this weekend, fully cosplayed as Thrawn.
Oh, wow.
Which he just tweeted about. So he was having a time this weekend, it seems like. Good for him. Good for him. But yeah, even though I missed the running of the hoods, I'm glad I didn't miss the Narkina 5 prisoners, because that was a good time. And that was right after the making of Andor panel. But speaking of some other things that you don't want to miss, listener.
Whoa, again, Brad, with these transitions, I'm going to give you a prize. I'll mail it to you.
No.
It's in the mail right now. It's literally already in the mail.
If you're wondering what today's episode is all about. So we're going to talk about my trip to Celebration and also go through all the biggest announcements, talk about what sticks out to us, what we're excited for, speculate a little responsibly. And before we do that, couple of quick announcements. We got some new followers over the weekend, so this might be your first time listening to the pod. Welcome. This is Friends of the Force, in case you haven't already known that 10 minutes into the episode.
We're the friends, in case there is any confusion about
contractually obligated friends, and as soon as that NDA is up, oh boy.
Yeah,
oh boy. I got some things to say.
Brad, cover your ears, but like, yikes.
Yikes.
Yeah. You guys don't even want to know.
we love books. So we cover books all the time, especially the High Republic. We do enjoy a good TV every now and then. So we cover TV here on the pod. And we also do a lot of silly episodes, like our Golden Gorg Awards, which are like our Oscars,
Our
but better.
favorites. Yeah.
Yes. And we do all that sort of stuff. So make sure you're following us on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We upload all of our stuff there, let you know what's going on. Most recently, we had an interview with Lydia Kang, who wrote Cataclysm. We had a Battle Scars book discussion. And we also talked about The Mandalorian chapters 19 through 21. So go check out those episodes. Those all came out the week of Celebration, so they might have been missed by some people. But that's a friendly reminder to check those out.
It's right. So there's lots of good stuff on the feed as well. We love Resistance and the High Republic. Those are probably our two biggest claims to fame these days. Yeah.
So welcome
lots of good
if it's your
stuff
first
in
time
the
listening.
past and upcoming. So hope you stick around. If you would like to, we would love to have
Please
you.
do. Things get silly and fun and chaotic around here, especially the deeper into an episode that we get. So if you think we're unhinged now, just wait. Stick around till like the hour 15 mark. That's usually the first hinge breaking.
Yeah. Signs of
don't go back. Don't look back. But yeah, so Star Wars Celebration Europe. I had a really good time. Sarah, it would have been even better if you were there. It was so weird. My first celebration post pod creation that you and I weren't together at. So it was a bit odd. No fire alarms. You can't have your panel interrupted by a fire alarm if you just don't apply for a panel. So thank you for not going.
Got him.
Because I guarantee you, if you had went and we had a panel, something would have happened.
That's right.
Brandon's panel at Talking Bay 94. Apparently that hour that his panel was, there was something going on with the building and all the mics were popping very loudly like gunshots. Oh. So he was on stage and it just started popping and he just started doing finger guns.
None of us can catch a break, can we? It always has
I know,
to
we really can't. Molly, our friend Molly, her hotel had a fire alarm legitimately after I had tweeted out no fire alarms yet at Star Wars Celebration. So I think I accidentally jinxed her.
Oh,
it was interesting.
You're such a bad friend.
Some casualties along the way.
Yeah.
Or nobody was harmed in the fire. Just like casualties, meaning a fire alarm happened.
Right. We got you.
Right.
Yeah, it was like weird to not be there and very peaceful to not be there all at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. Like I was just like working in my house and like living my life. And of course, like all the panels were done by like 2:00 my time. So I was just like vibing at home and living my life. And it was weird. But I was also like, all my friends are hanging out without me. This sucks.
Yeah. There's that like FOMO of celebration where I feel like for a while you were probably like okay with the decision of not going, and then all of a sudden like the week hits and
it's like the week up for me.
You're thinking, damn, I wish I could be there. Which that seemed to be the mood for everybody who was still back home.
Yeah. Oh well though, I'm really glad that you had a great experience, and I'm really glad that everybody who was there got to do some awesome things. I've seen so many amazing cosplays and photos and just goodies that people got. So I'm really happy for everybody. And yeah, I wish I
brought
could
you
have
home
had
some swag.
Yeah,
I brought you home some good swag that'll be in the mail very soon.
Brad said, so like podcast idea, what if I open the swag for you on camera and you react to it?
Not my greatest idea.
He said that.
I'm just so excited for you to see some of the things. I just want to know what your reaction is.
Ship them priority. Yeah. They'll be here sooner than you can say Celebration Japan.
That is my friend language. It's seeing people's reactions to things. That's why I say, let's watch The Mandalorian, because I want to watch you react to things, because that brings me joy. Brings me joy to see people get excited about
Me too.
Or maybe not so excited sometimes when we watch The Mandalorian. But besides the point,
my reactions are so chaotic to The Mandalorian.
They're so all over the place, but it's great.
We were just watching it earlier and I was like, no, we're not doing this. No. I know what's coming. We're not doing this. And Brad's like, everybody was like busting a gut laughing like during this. And I'm like, no. Anyway, we'll talk about it on our breakdown.
But yeah, the convention was an odd one this year because I feel as if the panels themselves were great and the vibe was good. And I got to meet a lot of our listeners, some of our listeners who said hi, making some new friends with people that I haven't gotten the chance to meet in person, even at the last celebration. And so that was all great. Came home with a ton of swag, got some great collectibles, including the bridal carry Raylo print, which I've been wanting for years, and sold out very quickly, apparently. So I got in at the right time. But the convention center itself was just too damn small. It was so tiny.
Yeah.
There was basically one hall, like very long hall, full of food booths and restaurants. And so essentially, for you to make your way through the convention center, you had to also walk through all these giant lines for food.
Oh.
And for people traveling through the main hallway. And then there's the cross traffic between the show floor, which is segmented into two parts by that hallway.
Oh.
And they put the most popular booths at the entrances at the hallway. Like they had the Hasbro booth there, the Funko booth, the Forbidden Planet booth, and the show stage kind of there. So those places are now crowding into the hallway, which people are already trying to get through. And so it was just like so crowded all the time. It was not fun. And there was also nowhere you could go outside. There were very few spots. The first floor outside place was a designated smoking area. And then the upstairs balcony was just paneled in completely. So you couldn't even see outside. It was just like a climate simulator from the Galactic Star Cruiser, basically. Wow. It was like you could feel the air, but you couldn't see much else. And not great compared to Anaheim, which like you could walk outside and still be within security and have a ton of places to go, like the fountain or the celebration stage. You could walk in so many places in Anaheim.
That being said, I did hate the Anaheim setup. I'm pro McCormick Place.
You're a little biased to Chicago, so
I'm pro McCormick Place. I think McCormick
I'm also
Place
pro McCormick Place. Yeah, but if you had been here, because I was not like too thrilled about the Anaheim Convention Center last year, but after I saw XL, I thought, okay, maybe Anaheim was good. Maybe Anaheim was great, in fact, because this is not good.
That's really bold because I'm just really not Anaheim's biggest fan. Anyway, love you
tough,
Star Wars
though.
Celebration 2019. Love you C2E2. Love you Car Show in Chicago.
The booths themselves, too, were spread out very oddly, and you couldn't really tell where anybody was because everything had a black curtain around it, like every booth. And there's not much signage for places. So I think Hasbro and Funko and Forbidden Planet were really the only booths that had like big signage to see like who it was. And there weren't that many vendors either. It didn't really feel... I couldn't even find the Del Rey booth. And apparently there was a Del Rey booth.
There was?
I didn't even know. Yeah, there was. I found out.
Oh.
There was a Forbidden Planet booth and a Del Rey booth. I completely missed Del Rey. And I walked that show floor like 5 times to find it.
Weird.
Yeah. If that gives you any indication.
Bring it back to Chicago, guys. Bring it back to Chicago.
Yeah. But besides the point, I still had a good time. I thought the panels were great. Like, there's a couple of Andor ones, one of which I missed. I got into most of the morning panels, about half of them. Showcase was great. The High Republic panel was probably my favorite of the weekend, which we'll talk about some of the news there. But most importantly, I did get a Denise Goff autograph.
Let's hear it, Brad. Give me the whole rundown.
Mother.
Great. Let's move on.
Yes, let's move on. She's great. She's wonderful. She says that she really wants an action figure, which I agree.
Give her an action figure.
And I talked to her about her and Kyle Solar and how they're quite a pairing, and she said couples goals. So I feel very vindicated in sensing the romantic chemistry between Cyril and Daedra at the end of the season.
Who doesn't love a chaotic ship? You know?
Yeah.
Who does? I mean, there are some people,
it.
and that's really valid, but like, I'm not among those people. I love a chaotic ship, and they are a chaotic ship.
And I told Denise, I was like, some people are into it, I know, but I'm all in. And she said, that says a lot about you, Brad. And I had her sign my photo with well, on the sticky note, you're only allowed 6 words. So I put, "You're in my net, Brad." And I gave her the photo and she looks at it and says, "Oh my God, this is a good personalization. More people should be doing this. This is good." And she wrote the full quote instead. Like she wrote more than the 6 words. She put, you're in my net, Brad. Are you fish or are you a fish or are you a thief?" And then she signed it. And
Beautiful.
she also said it to me in character. Like she kind of recited it a couple of times in her head to remember what the full line was. And then she got really serious for a second and looked at me and said it. And I was like, haha. And I think I did like the thing where like the classic kind of like kick the foot back. 'Cause you're just like, oh shucks. Or at least in my head I did. I don't know.
Ladies and gents, he's smitten.
I bent my knee a couple times, kind of leading my body, kind of like, ooh. Yeah, I was actually starstruck.
I just want to say, you can say nothing about my K-pop idols when you are just telling me that story on air.
Yeah. No, the way that you feel about K-pop is the way that I felt about Denise Goff for those 5 minutes. It was
beautiful.
It being in her presence was just like,
Yeah.
But
You
yeah.
got it. You got it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably one of my highlights from the weekend among many. But yeah, I think with that being said, why don't we jump into some of the biggest news from
Okay. Where do you want to
Celebration.
start? I kind of didn't really order it in any particular way, but
I think we should start with the showcase. Some of the stuff that came out of the showcase.
Yeah, that doesn't help me, Brad. I didn't organize it by the panel.
It's fine though. It's fine because we got movies, we got some live action TV. So let's start with the movies because that's the thing we've all been waiting for.
Sure.
And I know movies were announced, doesn't mean they'll happen. So let's like hold the excitement a little bit. Let's reel it in.
It's
but
not
no, these seem to be. I feel pretty good about these ones because yeah, we'll talk. Do you want to unveil what the 3 movies are?
Okay. I was just trying to think about how I was going to order them. First up to bat, we have Dave Filoni's Cowboy Hat. Yes, this is what I wrote in the notes. It's just a photo. It's just a film about Dave Filoni's Cowboy Hat. No, it is a movie that is going to be escalating New Republic and Empire War, and culminating and like the culmination of the Mandoverse. I think that we've been seeing across television. Then we have James Mangold, who is writing or creating or directing. I don't know which part he's doing. I think the directing part at very least. A biblical epic about the dawn of the Force and the first Jedi to wield it. And finally, we have Charmin Obaid-Chinoy's film, which stars Rey 15 years after Tross, and she is rebuilding the Jedi Order. So that's what, and Daisy Ridley herself, Queen, walked out on stage. So like that seems like there's something happening there if she's showing up in person.
Yeah. That's exciting. Daisy Ridley getting that Disney coin once again. That makes me very happy for her.
I am happy for her paycheck. And if her paycheck makes her happy and if playing the role makes her happy, then I'm for it. I support it. Do I trust Lucasfilm broadly to do Rey's character? No.
At this moment, at least.
But we know of the team here, of this team, I'm the cynic, and I am very much like, I will get hyped when I see it. I get hyped when I feel it, but I am happy to eat my words, like when trailers or when the movie comes out and it blows away like my expectations and it's really great.
Like you want the movie to
of course
be good.
Of course
we all do.
My thought about Star Wars every time is I want it to be great, and of course I want it to be something that I love, but even if it's not something that I love or something that I don't find great, like I'm glad there's people who can find that feeling that I find in other Star Wars. So like ultimately it's all good, it's all fine, but like I'm on a slightly more hesitant train than maybe some of my peers around the Star Wars community.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair because you and I are we're not secret about our feelings about the Rise of Skywalker, and without diving into that too deeply, we've been there, we've done that, we've exhausted all the talking points we possibly can, but I think overall we walked away from that film not feeling like Rey had a very complete, fulfilling arc for us personally that like we felt for the character. And so for us, I think a bit of that trust in the way that she is handled in her story, that trust diminished slightly. So like you're saying, do we trust at this point that her character can be done justice? We'll have to wait and see. I hope so. I think having her character in new hands is like a good first step in the right direction, right? Like Charmine, a woman of color directing Rey, Daisy Ridley in this movie, right? I mean, it still depends on the script largely and what that story is being told. I know this was the film that Damon Lindelof was allegedly writing before he dropped off the project. And Damon Lindelof's a great character, but I know they said that I think it's going to be another 6 weeks until the next script is finished. And I'm blanking on the name of the guy who is doing the script now, but he has some good background experience, I believe. So I'm hoping that this movie maybe can, for us and for maybe many others who share a similar opinion, maybe help us get some of that closure that we've wanted for a while. And also, like, she may not even be the main character. Like, she is just the Jedi Master of this new order. So for all we know, it could take a look at the Padawans that she's training or the younglings, or it could be more like kid coming of age focused, because Charmine did some Miss Marvel episodes.
Oh,
so
lovely.
that could be the vibe that they're going for. Maybe, maybe Rey is like the older teacher who is sort of there in the background, the Yoda-like figure who is shepherding in this new era. But also, like, what has Rey actually learned from the sequels and from Luke to not repeat the mistakes of the Jedi and the mistakes that Luke made, right? So I also want this movie to analyze the Jedi Order in that way and not just kind of go with what we would expect or what would be the easiest way, and actually like dissect that a little bit. Like, what does it mean to build a Jedi Order like to its fullest potential?
Yeah, I think I have some like just general cynicism about the future of the Jedi. I go back to that line in The Last Jedi where it's like, the legacy of the Jedi was failure, which is my favorite, obviously. And not that I'm a Jedi hater, because I'm most certainly not. But I have some cynicism about like the Order and people building the Order and people talking about the Order in certain ways. So like, I'll be really curious to see how they approach that. Especially with the path that Rey took in relationship to the Jedi as like an idea in The Rise of Skywalker. So I'll be really curious. And my hope for the film is that it pushes the idea of the Jedi forward and doesn't remain stagnant in the Jedi as we have known them for the lifetime of Star Wars.
Totally.
Shameless plug, I think this would be a beautiful opportunity to resurrect the Kazrath device and expand the ideas of light and dark within the Star Wars universe.
Of course you went there.
Of course I did. I love to live in a future without labels, like a light side user and a dark side user come together on this thing and they use whatever the device is. Anyway, I'll be really curious. I look forward to whatever Charmine and the writers and everybody who's working on the project has in store. But it's one that I will wait with hesitancy.
Absolutely. Our next film too is the one by Dave. I think we kind of felt this was going to be coming at some point because he's been growing within the live action space and doing more. So this felt like a next like logical step for him, I suppose. I know they've been building the Mandoverse to this like epic event that they kind of describe it as. So it sort of feels like the Avengers, but in Star Wars, which obviously the execution of that will be interesting. But I have to say, like, watching chapter 23 of The Mandalorian in a room of people, it was really exciting, and it made me realize how much I miss that communal experience of Star Wars. And even if like you don't like something fully or you don't like every aspect of something, still getting to experience it with a crowd and like hearing the laughs and hearing the energy and hearing somebody cry when something bad happens, or hearing people clap and get excited about a theme that plays, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I miss this. I miss this so
Right.
freaking much.
Right.
And I'm so excited for movies to come back. And ideally, it seems like 2025 is the year they're aiming for. I know there's like questions about, does Dave's movie come first? Does the Rey movie come first? It seems like Rey's movie is on track to be the first one that comes out, but Dave's movie will be interesting because it is contingent on the Mandoverse and how quickly that wraps up, even though Jon Favreau just said we could do this for 15 seasons, you know? So I don't know how that's all going to work out. What I will say is I will be there on day one watching it. I know you will probably be as well, because we like to eat our words on these things and say, oh, you know, I'm lukewarm on The Mandalorian, but you will have your butt in the seat to experience a new Star Wars, I'm sure.
You think.
But you say that now.
No. I mean, I do love to eat my words. Let's be really clear here, but I am no strong fan of the Mandoverse. Like, so you can catch me there on day 3.
Okay. Day 3. It's still pretty close.
Honestly,
that's still pretty
depends on who's in it. Like, truly.
That's opening weekend. Sarah.
Weekend. But
you
like,
sound like a bit of a shill to
like,
me.
Don't put me in that room on Thursday night. Like,
but hey, you know what's exciting though is like the idea of seeing Grogu and Mando like on the big screen.
Yeah.
Like, imagine Grogu in IMAX. Hello, his little goo goo gagas on IMAX sound.
Yeah, but I don't need Mando's
Hello?
mask to be 2 stories tall when I can't see a single freaking expression on his face, Brad.
Okay,
like,
but if they're doing a movie with the Mandalorian in it, like they're gonna actually have to show Pedro's face. I feel like they have to.
You think?
God, if they don't, that'd be so sad.
Anyway, my point being is that somebody else needs to write this movie. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
I better see Pedro Pascal's face on the big screen. Come on, Lucasfilm. Let's see it. But lastly, James Mangold's film. This might be like the sleeper of these. I feel
this is
like
the one that really may or may not happen.
Yeah. It's interesting because it shows to me they have a lot of confidence in Indiana Jones 5, Dial of Destiny, and they have a lot of confidence in James Mangold.
Wasn't there a previous James Mangold Star Wars film that was like...
I think he was supposed to do a Boba Fett movie, I believe. Or that might have been Josh Trank. But James Mangold was either supposed to do a Obi-Wan film or a Boba Fett film.
You know what? I think it was... Okay. Boba Fett. It was a Boba Fett film. So it clearly, like, they have a relationship with him. It seems like they really do want to do something with him.
So I think this has a lot of potential, like the dawn of the Force, the first Jedi to wield the Force, and
the Kazrath device.
Maybe the first Jedi found that. But it's interesting because obviously the Force is nature. It's our world. It's the rocks and the trees, and it already exists, and it existed before. I imagine it existed before Jedi did wield it. But the vibe I'm getting is maybe we see somebody discover the first Force nexus. You know, they go into a cave and all of a sudden they feel this connection that they haven't felt before, and they can wield the Force, you know, a mysterious power that they had no knowledge of. Like, what did the temple, you know, where the Jedi temples are built on Lothal or Bogano, like what did those places look like before those temples were built?
Oh, Brad, Bogano and Zepho.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're kind of like reigniting ideas here for me.
I just think that's really cool. Like, what did it look like before a temple was built on top of a Force nexus, or like a place with the strength of the Force, like even stronger than anywhere else, right? So that's the vibe I'm getting here, and I think it has the opportunity to be either really great or like pretty bad. And I'm really hoping it's going to be great because this is an interesting concept to explore, and I'm surprised we haven't done it. And this is long before Old Republic as well, to be clear.
Right. Like, I think part of me is like, oh no, don't kill the mystery of it. But the other part of it is like, I trust James Mangold generally, you know, like I love the movie Logan. Okay. I really
Oh yes, Logan's amazing.
Logan.
That's right. I forgot he did Logan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, this is gonna be a good movie. JK.
I kind of like his approach there. I thought was really interesting and compelling in the way that he told that story, and kind of breaking the genre a little bit, but without breaking the genre. It's like a very Andor in a in a very Mandoverse world. Logan
Mm-hmm.
is, and I feel like he could do that again with Star Wars. I when I think about this, like I get an image in my head of like, you know, a lone person traveling sort of a thing that's very quiet and meditative in a way. So I'll be curious to see how that happens. Actually, like out of these 3 films, I'm probably most interested in that one.
I agree.
I think
I think so.
I think it fills me with the most sense of wonder,
Mm-hmm.
which I like.
Absolutely. I feel like it has a potential to be very mythological, and it is interesting. Is this like very primal? Is it like cavemen in the galaxy far, far away, right? Is it are we talking people writing on the walls inside a cave and like drawing, illustrations?
Well, you have to think about this because like the hyperspace lanes are only 350 years older than the Republic ish generally, right? Like,
Right. Is there even technology
or like
to travel the galaxy?
what sort of technology is there? How does it get around? How do people communicate? I think the key question here will be, how do people communicate with each other in this time? Because right, like in Star Wars right now, we're talking about the Pathfinders and hyperspace lanes in the phase 2 of the High Republic, which we're now like 500-ish years before
Mhm.
um the Phantom Menace. But if you go way before that, what are the ways that people are interacting with each other and spreading information and communication? What does the galaxy look like, and like how do people get around? Like I think those are like really uh key questions that I'm asking myself when it comes to this. And with that, I want it to be really different from than what we've seen. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm filled with such a sense of wonder when it comes to this pitch.
I think it's probably the toughest movie to make as well, because what is the frame of reference for the Dawn of the Jedi? I don't know if there are Legends books out there that do explore this. If we're talking more of the Wills, like the Journal of the Wills, do we get to see the
Right.
Wills in this movie? Are they a part of it? Whoever they may be.
Well, it could be pre-Wills.
Yeah, if it's
You
pre
have
Will,
to-
that's like we're going far back,
Yeah, understand the Force before you can write about it.
right? So that's kind of wild. And I'm excited. I'm very excited about it too. Now that we're talking about it, I'm getting that.
See?
I'm getting a good feeling about it. So yeah, those are the movies that are coming out potentially.
Maybe.
Until I
We'll
see a
see.
trailer or until I'm in the theater. But you know what? I again, like, how do you feel just like knowing that we're hopefully getting to a point where we can see these things in a movie theater and experience that? And I know Kathleen Kennedy did say that they're bringing back the crawl to differentiate movies from TV. And
Oh.
I for one think that's a good thing, because the crawl is just like, how do you beat the crawl? And also, do you deny future generations of Star Wars fans, like young, old, and current? Do you deny them that magical feeling that happens, like when the Star Wars yellow text appears on the screen and you get a crawl? Like,
I mean, I would already say that like it's gone. Like that feeling is I mean, Star Wars primarily exists in the Mandoverse right now, and that doesn't have a crawls. And we know how many new
Right.
fans and young fans are coming in through the Mandalorian. So I think that's already gone. And I will maybe say I don't have as much, not that I don't have an attachment to the crawl, because the crawl is iconic, but like it's not sacred to me. So I find it interesting that
Mhm.
she made a point to say that, because but also like I know there's been much conversation over the years of like Rogue One and Solo and what they did or did not do with those. So I find that really interesting. I didn't know that before you had said that. So
But yeah, how do you feel about Star Wars back at the movies in general before we move on to TV?
I wow, Tross really broke me in some ways, didn't it? I agree with you in saying that like I definitely understand and miss that sense of communal fandom experience when it comes to Star Wars. Like my experiences watching the films, whether I like them or hate them, were always enjoyable for me because the people around me were reacting to them in certain ways. And that would make it more fun for me to be in a room of people who also were feeling something about the movie. And I definitely want that again. And that's what we miss when we're not able to attend a celebration or not able to attend a screening, whether it be, at Celebration or elsewhere. So like that's definitely really valid. And you bringing up the experience you had with Mandalorian reminded me of like the feelings that I've had over the years when it comes to communal Star Wars experiences. And they've been so across the board. It's been, but I cherish all of them equally, really core memories, every one of those. At the same time, I don't know. I'm like, my trust is so broken in some ways that I'm like, must not get excited until like I'm literally sitting in the theater or know what's going to happen. So I know how I'm going to react to it, I think trust was jarring for me in many ways. And even though like I go look back at those theater experiences and I'm like, yeah, those were good times. Cause like when I walked into Trust the first time, I had read the spoilers in the months leading up to it. And so I knew like when things were coming and how everybody in the room was reacting around me. And I was like, haha, LOL. So I really enjoyed that experience. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hesitant to be all out and like, oh my God, I can't be waiting to sit in the theater because like, is it going to be an experience for me that I'm going to enjoy? Right. Like I'll cherish the memory either way, but is the memory of watching the thing going to be one that I love? So I hope so. Like I'm really hoping so. And I'm not going to, count that possibility out in any way, shape or form. But I'm hesitant to be like, yes, especially since already things have been pushed back, like
yeah.
We were supposed to be getting one of these this year.
I'm with you. I think there's always a little bit of hesitancy with these things and the trust needs to be rebuilt. So we'll get there though. I also hope to walk away from it with a good experience. And I will say I got to go to the D23 screening of Return of the Jedi. That was another communal theatrical experience that I had this last weekend. And that was a lot of fun. I think the moment that really stood out the most was like Leia saying to Han, he's my brother. And the look that Han gives Leia and he like looks away, everybody in the theater was just laughing hysterically. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is so weird to watch this. And we know Return of the Jedi is coming back for about a week in the theaters at the end of this month. So more people can experience that again. And it's just so cool getting to see a movie in a theater that you never have before and experiencing it with others. And for me, I grew a little bit of a soft spot for Return of the Jedi now because of that experience. And I have a newfound nostalgia for it. And it kind of brought me back to watching the VHS tapes. It's just so different than just watching it on Disney Plus, and that was a good feeling. And I can't wait till, hopefully you and I, maybe I'll fly out to Chicago or, we go to New York or something and we take a trip and we go see the first Star Wars movie together, We could do
Chicago,
fun stuff.
Brad. Do it now.
So
come on.
Yeah.
Book the flight. Pause the episode, book the flight.
Let me just book the flight 2 years out and then Lucasfilm changes the date of the movie and then I'm screwed out of my Delta miles.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm excited. I can't wait to also get to a point where we can talk about movies again on this podcast because that was a good time back when.
It was. And I also do like the movie format. Not that I don't like TV, but I think for me, the Star Wars movie is still king. So like I do look forward to getting to dissect the full story in one go. As opposed to like when we do an episode recap and it's like, okay, we have 60 minutes of content and that's it. Just a piece of the pie. But yeah, I will agree with you in saying that Return of the Jedi is one of the best ones to watch in a crowd of people. I've had the opportunity to watch the whole original trilogy with the score being played live, and Return of the Jedi was the best of the three.
Oh, for sure.
For just like the community experience. Because like, who doesn't want to giggle at Ewoks, Honestly.
Yeah. The moment when Leia lifts Wicket off the log and puts him on the ground, that got some laughs. That was a good moment. And
then like the whole Jabba sail barge sequence is so much fun to watch people because you're all like actively rooting them on.
Right. Yeah. Oh gosh. What a good feeling. Also, that was my first time seeing a Star Wars movie in a theater since Tross.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's been a minute, and it's been a minute that's been complicated because of COVID. So
Yeah.
that
I
makes
missed
sense.
the
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back 40th screening because it was like in the middle of COVID. I'm like,
Right.
why are we doing this now?
I don't know.
But
Yeah. Anyway, different story, different day.
one final comment about
Yes.
Ryan Johnson. I just want to
King?
put this on the record.
King?
Put this on the record. Kathleen Kennedy said, Ryan and I talk all the time. She said this to Variety. He is unbelievably busy, so we're not actively involved in anything at the moment because he's doing another Glass Onion movie. And then God knows what else, but he really wants to step back into the space. It's a big commitment of time, so that's really on him. And I just want to say, I don't know why, but this is the most hopeful I felt.
I agree with you.
This is me putting the clown makeup on.
No,
but this is the
no
most hopeful
makeup.
I felt about his trilogy, because her saying he wants to step back into the space, right? Like, she is now putting kind of words in his mouth, and for her to do that in a way is like showing a lot of confidence that he does want to come back, right? Like, she wouldn't say that if he didn't want to. And acknowledging that it's a big commitment of time. She's basically like, Last Jedi is known to have not had any production problems, basically. Like, it was one of the cleanest movies that Lucasfilm has made in the last 10 years.
Right.
And I think Kathleen recognizes that Ryan's the type of filmmaker that when he makes a movie, he wants to give the time to it. And for something as big as Star Wars, like, she knows that he wants to really invest himself into it.
Didn't he move up north, like, for part of that script writing?
I believe so. Yeah.
To like check in with the Skywalker team, like every other day.
Yeah. He's busy doing Knives Out mysteries, and that's totally cool. And he should be scratching that itch as long as he needs to, but he shouldn't come back to this before he is ready to, or else you get into a situation where he starts actively developing something, but he's like not quite ready for it, and then the filmmaker switch, and we don't want that either.
Or he gets pulled into another commitment that he has, and then he has to stop. So I'm right there with you. I've never been more hopeful like about this trilogy than in this moment. And I think it'll be gonna happen. Like, it might be when you and I are like 40 and he's much older than that. Like, he might be like old men in the cane, but still making movies, been at this for many decades, sort of a deal. But like, I think it really could happen. I really do. And I hold on to hope for it because he's my favorite and I love him. And I think he's just a really talented filmmaker. And I trust his point of view really strongly, not just in Star Wars, but also outside of Star Wars. Like, I trust his point of view. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Watch us splice in this portion of the audio into our future episode in which we're talking about the announcement that the trilogy is canceled.
No, don't
clown
do that
music, the Benny Haas music, whatever it's called. Right. Benny Hahn music? What, I don't know what it is. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to make note of that as well. Big. But yeah, let's talk about some TV stuff from the showcase. First and foremost.
Yeah.
It's an Andor.
It's an Andor show.
Sarah.
It's an Andor show.
Sarah.
Brad.
When I was sitting in the Galaxy stage.
Yeah.
And
I
the
was
Twin Sun stage. And you were sleeping. And, the whole Andor cast, they were the first ones out. They were the first ones on the showcase. Like, they were like, we're going to lead with our best because they know. They know. And they come out on stage, they're all talking about Andor, and I'm like, cool. And Tony Gilroy says that they are currently filming. Yeah. They're going to wrap filming this August, and then they're aiming for an August 2024 release. So we're essentially getting Mando here is going to end. Then we're going to get Ahsoka in August. Then we're going to get Skeleton Crew sometime after that. Then we're going to get the Acolyte in 2024. Then we're going to get Andor. We're getting Acolyte and Andor most likely back to back, which, if you ask me, is pretty, as the kids would say, lit.
While you were saying that, August 2024, I was like, oh, Jin is going to be back from the military by that time. And that's how I'm thinking about things. Jin is already going to be back from the military, guys. We're all going to have one BTS member back. If I can get through that, I can get through the wait to Andor season 2.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm telling myself right now.
Yeah. But when they come out on stage and they start talking about release dates, and I'm like, cool, there's our update. And then they're like, we have a little something to show you. I'm like, no fucking way you guys put together a teaser trailer. You are actively filming this show right now. How did you do this?
Did you know, Brad, that editors are different than directors, which are different than actors?
I know.
And that's
editors
how these things
are
can happen.
superheroes. Editors are but like still, I'm just like, do they even have like the shots done well enough to put it together? I just was expecting a behind the scenes, maybe sizzle reel showing like, hey, look at us filming. Here's an explosion.
Hi, I'm on the set and I'm Diego Luna,
you know?
and we're filming a cool scene today. We can't tell you what it is, but we'll be able to see it soon enough.
Exactly. So when the lights go down and the Lucasfilm logo pops up and you hear just the I'm like, I literally started losing my fucking mind. And I like, you can probably tell that I'm losing it now speaking about it, but seeing the Andor season 2 trailer was one of my favorite memories of Celebration, and then getting to also then see it on the Celebration stage screen because they showed it at the making of Andor panel. I was like, oh my God, this looks so good. I'm like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. There's a real sense of urgency with the trailer. Mothma looks like she has her back against a wall. She is ready to make a big move. Cyril is doing some stuff. He's reading a little little note thing in the trailer. He combs his hair at one point. He's eating cereal. I can confirm he's eating cereal. And there's also this one guy that looks like he's in the kitchen, the same kitchen of his mother's apartment, and I think might be Uncle Harlow. So I don't know if that's Uncle Harlow in the trailer or not, but we might finally get to meet Uncle Harlow.
If it's
season.
Not Uncle Harlow, I'm just gonna throw it out there and say it's Cyril's boyfriend. He brought his boyfriend home to mom.
There was also a shot of Lonnie, the ISB double agent in the trailer. He looked like he was in trouble. That's all I'll say. I think Lonnie's days are numbered.
Is he the guy in the episode 10 speech? Is he on the other side of that speech?
Yeah, he's the one getting absolutely grilled, but also having front row seats to Stellan Skarsgård's amazing monologue. Lucky guy.
My friend, we caught up lately, and they were like, yeah, I haven't finished Andor. And I was like, you haven't finished Andor? I was like, where did you stop? And they were like, episode 6-ish, maybe. And I was like, no, you haven't seen the speech. I was like, it gets really good. And I was like, Sates, they say, I made my mind to sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. Okay, it's some of the best Star Wars, and I went on like a very friendly tirade about how good it was. And I was like, you have to finish it. You will love it. Anyway, that's just wow. Back on the Andor train. Looking forward to it, of course. And how do you feel about the odds that Bail is in the season, Brad?
Very, very. The odds are very high.
I still don't think so, guys.
Again, you cannot have Cassian Andor in the Fulcrum program and not have the guy who is running the Fulcrum program not in the show.
I think it might not happen. There. I don't know.
He has to be there.
I will be literally over the moon to eat my words in 2024, but I don't know right now. I don't know.
Can't wait for you to eat your words. But Tony, once again, I mean, this isn't news, but he confirmed that every 3 episodes is a year. So we're starting, I believe 1 year after season 1, potentially. And then leading up to Rogue One. And the final shot will be Cassian walking off to the Ring of Catherine or whatever it's called. So, yeah. And I'm curious how things might also like weave together with Rebels, because we know Mothma makes a huge speech in Rebels to unite the rebel cells together. So it'll be really, really interesting how the show plays out. But seeing that trailer, it electrified every neuron in my body. I was like levitating off the ground and into the sky, and security was like, sir, you need to get out of the sky right now, or we're going to have to kick you out of Celebration. And I'm like, sorry, I'm levitating. That really happened. I promise. But yeah, anyways, speaking of levitating, I not only levitated during the Andor trailer, the Acolyte. Let's talk about the Acolyte.
Let's.
Oof.
Brad, I woke up that morning to that photo. To that photo of Leslie Headland and the Wookiee Jedi. And I was like, I'm not even there, and this is the greatest moment of my life. Like, they did this for me. You cannot
Specifically, they were
imagine.
like, Sarah Haas, who's not here, but is asleep somewhere in the world. We're doing this for you.
Leslie did it for me. She did it for me. Okay. You don't understand. You don't understand. And I don't understand either. But I always have, I always will love the Wookiees. Okay. They're just the best. They bring me such joy and they make me so happy. And it's a High Republic Wookiee. Where's Briaga? This isn't a game anymore. So yeah.
Well, we saw the behind the scenes leaked photo of the Wookiee.
That's true. We did
a while back, and we like really didn't want to say it on the podcast because it wasn't official. But yeah,
but I was screaming, crying, throwing up then, and I am still screaming, crying, throwing up now.
And not only is it any Wookiee, but it's one played by Jonas, who is back playing a Jedi Master, and I love that.
Get him his coin.
I love that Jonas and Daisy Ridley in the year 2023 are going to be playing Jedi Masters. Hello. I love that for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I support it.
The Wookiee's name is Kelnaka, by the way.
Great name.
I don't know the exact spelling, but
maybe 3 Ks?
I imagine 2 or 3 Ks in there. But that's not all on casting and characters, because we found this out later at the High Republic panel, which we're sitting in the audience for the High Republic panel. The official part of the stream ends and we're like, cool, we're going to get the Acolyte trailer. Great. Leslie Headland walks out on stage. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get to see her live at the celebration stage. Here she is. That was the best part about the weekend, by the way. I missed a lot of things in the showcase because I was at the Twin Sun stage, but like everything that I didn't really get to see live, I ended up seeing live anyways, somewhere else. It was great. It was great. Anyways, cool. Like the Andor trailer and Acolyte trailer. So Leslie walks out, and
you still saw them. They were just, on the screen as opposed to being in the
screen in the Twin Sun stage was very, very small. It was like one screen. Okay. Galaxy stage though was like very, very massive. So it felt like a bigger experience seeing it there.
Gotcha.
With a whole room of High Republic fans like freaking out. And Leslie, she starts talking about this respect and admiration she has for the Luminous team, and like how important it was for her to like keep in mind the books and pay respect to them, and connect the aesthetics and the story between the books and the show, and make it all kind of feel cohesive, which I was so happy to hear about that. It seems like she has a genuine love for the books, and I'm not sure like what she has read, but it seems like the discussion has been had about like where are you guys in the books, and what can we do in the show to make that feel like mesh,
Right.
And let me tell you, it's gonna mesh, because we found out Leslie Headland's wife, Rebecca Henderson, is playing Vernestra Rowe from the fucking books. And they showed a picture of Vernestra Rowe on the screen from the Acolyte. I'm so excited. How are you feeling about the fact that Vernestra Rowe is going to be in the Acolyte, which you haven't seen the trailer because it's not public, but like, what does that signal to you? Like, I'm so happy about this, honestly.
It's so interesting to me. Like, obviously Vernestra has lived a long time. I'm delighted to see a queer person playing a queer character from the books. Now that's going to be live action. I know that I have thoughts and opinions about, the transference of mediums and how that can be, good and bad at times, but I'm excited and I'm optimistic about this one in particular, because I don't think that Leslie would have cast her wife if she wasn't serious about it. So serious about the character and serious about what the story they're going to tell with that character. So like, yeah, I feel pretty darn good about the Acolyte. So yeah, I'm really interested to see the story and the baggage that Vernestra has after all this time. And also Light Whip.
Live action Light Whip, yes, please.
Question mark?
I have as good of a feeling about the Acolyte as I do for Andor. I think we're going to get Andor quality writing, production, cinematography. I think everything is going to be so up to snuff. And I know you haven't seen Russian Doll, but It's just one of the best shows I've watched,
Mm-hmm.
period. Leslie as a creator and having a queer creator in Star Wars as well is just so important. I think this is a huge win. Any reservations that people have about the Acolyte should be pushed aside, because I have never felt better about anybody being involved in Star Wars since Rian Johnson as I do with Leslie Headland. I would say even more than Tony Gilroy. Like, I feel pretty good. And the way that Leslie approaches Star Wars and how she views it, she mentioned how she wrote fan fiction, which I think is really notable. Like the fact that we have a original fanfic writer doing a Star Wars show, like that's really cool. And for her to acknowledge that and embrace that as part of her fandom experience. And it's for her to even acknowledge that she has had a fandom experience, right? Like that this is my experience. It's not like tied to the OG trilogy as much, like, you know, purely. I kind of had this whole roundabout experience where I did all sorts of things and connected to Star Wars in all sorts of ways. Not just through the lens of the original trilogy.
Right. Yeah. Count me in. I'm really, really interested in it, and I love the cast. Holy moly! I think it was Manny Jacinto who was on the red carpet and was giving an interview, and he was like, "Yeah, and I got this call from this unknown number, and it was Leslie Headland asking me to be a part of this."
He's amazing.
And I was like, oh, he got the call from Leslie directly. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's like, I don't know. I feel really good about the cast, and I feel really good about the ideas that seem to be present with this. And I feel really, really good about a Wookiee Jedi. And I feel really good about the High Republic connections.
This is your show.
Can you
this
tell?
Is made
am
for
I?
you
Am I? Hold on, guys. Am I excited right now? Me, like, enthusiastic about a Star Wars? Oh my god.
Wookiee Jedi? Hello? You
literally
single?
I am pretty easy to please, but like it has to be like, just, hey Sarah, there's gonna be a Wookiee in this show, and I'll be like, yes. I don't know. Porgs, Wookiees, a little bit of romance, not between Porgs and Wookiees, but just, you know, in the Star Wars. That's what gets me involved. And also some like real gray area nonsense. Like, I do not want this very pure good versus evil, which is great. Like, in Star Wars is built on that. But like, oh my god, I love it when everybody is really messy. I just love messy characters being chaotic and not nearly knowing, you know, which way is the right way to go. And yeah, but I also in the same breath, I'm like, yeah, my favorite characters are Niku and Rose Tico, who are very much like pure-hearted good people. But yeah, anyway, that's beside the point. Now I'm just rambling. Anyway, Acolyte good. Acolyte interests Sarah on board for Acolyte.
I will say I accidentally tweeted out that it was Courtney Cox in the trailer. I totally meant Carrie-Anne Moss. I think I have Scream 6 on my mind.
I think I was a little confused about that. And I was like, yeah, you know, but I'm so tired right now. It's 7 a.m. What am I supposed to do?
Literally.
Question you?
Literally.
No, I'm not awake.
I'm going crazy. Yeah. So, Carrie-Anne Moss was fighting Amanda Stenberg. They're doing some martial arts fighting. But there was the money shot in the trailer with all the Jedi lighting up their lightsabers at the very end. And I was like, yeah, this is the High Republic, baby. This is it.
Carrie-Anne Moss, a bad guy.
Yeah. No, she looked like a Jedi. Mandla looks like a kind of the quote unquote villain, which is interesting because Leslie said this is going to be a series that focuses on the villain.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, this is a story about the villains and how they're outnumbered and they're the underdogs. And there's going to be this like spiritual war of between various schools of thought on the Force.
See, that's what I like. It's not good or bad.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual war between various schools of thought.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the quote in the trailer is, this isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who's allowed to use it.
Who's allowed to use it? That's kind of spicy.
Well, and we talk about this meshing with the books. Like, we have the Path of the Open Hand, and you have different like way seekers, you know? Yeah. So these are things that have been established in the High Republic, and it seems like they're going to be expanded upon, but within the context of like, how did the Sith come to power, and who is using the Force at this time? And yeah, how are the Jedi perceived? Like, are they good? Are they bad?
See, yeah, that's
It's not very
delicious.
clear.
Delicious stuff. How are the Jedi perceived? Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm putting my name at the top of that, petition.
Yeah. So, and she did also mention, like Leslie said, talked specifically about the Jedi and saying how she wanted to connect the dots between, their high point in the High Republic and their fall as George presented it in the prequels. Like, she's like, how did they get there? Like, where does that happen? It seems like she is not
failure. She's a big fan of that line too.
Exactly. I was going to say she
that's
is
my
really,
headcanon.
yeah, she is really embracing that. So, very excited for the Acolyte. Can't fucking wait. And we're going to be covering it here on the show. I cannot wait.
Brad's already put it on the calendar, even though he doesn't know when to schedule it for.
Yeah. Yeah. 2024, be there or be square. Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew was also shown. Directors John Watts, David Lowery, the Daniels, Jake Schreier, Bryce Dallas Howard, Lee Isaac Chung were all confirmed. There was a message from John Watts and Christopher Ford, who are at ILM with John Knoll, and they were shooting a scene with a miniature, which I love the use of miniatures in Star Wars.
I was like, why is John Knoll in this clip? Or like, yeah, as people had tweeted about it. And I was like, why is he here? But the context is helpful to know.
Yeah, it was very funny. They were like just them two at first. And they're like, and we're here with a big, big guest. And the camera flips over and it's John Knoll. He just goes, oh, hey. I was like, oh gosh, I love him. But the Skeleton Crew trailer also made me feel pretty excited. Again, like Mandoverse thoughts aside, this show actually looks really decent. It kind of feels like a family-friendly adventure. Like, these kids leave home and they get lost and they start to go up against dangers in the galaxy. It's an entirely kid cast, basically. And I think that's something that Star Wars needs. We need a show where kids can actually like see themselves in. And we got to protect these kids at all costs, by the way, because they were so adorable. They came out on stage. They were talking about how excited they are to be in Star Wars and like what Star Wars means to them. And I think we just often forget, like, Star Wars is made for kids and now kids are in it. And that's just really special. And I'm excited for them. And I'm excited for I was with Ian all weekend. We roomed together and he said it felt like Goonies with space pirates. And I was like, that's completely accurate. And also sounds very exciting when you put it that way.
Brad, you have said that you're like, oh, Sarah, you're going to love this one. Sarah, I think you're going to really like this one. And I do, the way you've described it, I do love, I love the middle grade High Republic books specifically. I love The Legends of Luke Skywalker by Ken Liu. I love Jedi Temple Challenges so much. It's so fun. So if this has some of the energy of those things that I love, then I think I'll enjoy it. I do hesitate with it being part of the Mandoverse, just knowing like my history with the Mandoverse overall. But like, I am optimistic that this will be good. I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical still because I haven't seen anything, but I'm looking forward to seeing the trailer and like getting a better sense of what the show is all about. And of course the directors are all these choices are really good. And, Jude Law is obviously an incredible talent. So yeah. All right. Okay. I have bought a ticket to this train, but like I haven't arrived at the platform yet.
It seems good. It seems like a good vibe. Notably, Vane is in the trailer from Mando. Vane is like the Nikto pirate that escapes.
The one in season 3 here?
So yeah, he was in the trailer. So
I didn't really know he had a name. I'll be really honest with you. But I do love Niktos.
Yeah. But I'm really excited about this one. I think it's going to be a sleeper. I think we're underestimating how fun it could be. There's also a little creature on the ship with the kids, like a kid creature. And I believe it's a Max Rebo species.
Oh, okay.
But a kid version of Max Rebo.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I'm in.
I have Nubs and I have this unidentified, nameless creature kid that was in the trailer for Skeleton Crew. It's just the year of good vibes. here in Star Wars land, I guess.
Little cutie patooties who are our bestie friends in the Star Wars. We love you, Nubs. I've never even met you yet, Nubs, but you're my best friend, man.
Oh gosh. Okay, last thing that was shown at the showcase was Ahsoka, which I know you and I personally, just in all transparency, I don't think we have much really to say on this. We don't plan on covering the show on the podcast because I think the situation, which we've talked about plenty before, all around is just like a bit uncomfortable and not something we want to get involved with. But I just want to say notably, Mon Mothma being in the trailer I thought was interesting because I just, again, love that Genevieve O'Reilly is continuing to get that coin.
We got a crumb.
We got a crumb of Mothma.
Of resistance.
Oh, resistance, yes.
Don't forget about the crumb because you said, Brad, you were the one who said we had to mention the crumb. So
yeah.
We have,
oh my gosh, I forgot
Senator
that happened.
Ziono.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kaz's dad, guys. As one of the hologram senators in that one shot in the trailer. So when I figured out that was a Ziono, I was like, a crumb for me?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
cool.
felt like with how sparingly we get any resistance crumbs, it was weird. I was like, we have to mention this because we love Star Wars Resistance, and it's good to just at least see that show and those characters and those families get recognized elsewhere in Star Wars.
Literally.
And, like, maybe that gives me hope for a Doza at some point.
Yeah. Where are the Dozas?
So it's not too late, Star Wars. Like, give me a live action Vanessa Doza. I would love it. And also I was genuinely happy to see Lars Mikkelsen announce as Thrawn, which like he could pop up anywhere. He's probably going to pop up in the Dave Filoni movie, I'm sure. Like he'll be the big bad villain.
I bet that's what we're working towards.
Yeah.
I would believe
I feel like it's going to be like a sort of heir to the Empire sort of movie of like Thrawn's the big bad. Let's take him down. He's leading an Imperial remnant. And they're going up against the New Republic with the Shadow Council, essentially. So I think that's kind of what we're going towards. But again, very happy he's involved because I think he embodies the character fully, and anyone else voicing Thrawn would just not feel right. So
yeah, I think also notable just to mention here is Mary Elizabeth Winstead was like, very much confirmed within this trailer as Hera, which we knew this more or less. We've known this for a long time, but like that happened here. And Iman Esfandi as Ezra, that was confirmed. He confirmed that via Twitter. He was like, I'm so excited to be playing Ezra. And I'll be honest with you, I did watch this trailer a couple of times because like when I watched it on my phone, I was like, okay, I just want to get a better sense of the story that they're telling here. I did not realize that little hologram that like Sabine pops up was Ezra. It's fine. It took me like 3 times and somebody explicitly saying that on Twitter for me to figure that out.
People kept posting memes about it. Like I saw a Katrina posted, "Mom, I threw up," and it was Ezra just like standing very awkwardly, like arms at his side. It's like so weird. So many weird memes with Ezra, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess my final thought about this, like aside from the whole conversation that we've been having over why we're not covering it, and just a certain feeling of unsettledness about the whole situation, and if you're really interested in that, the recaps or that content, there are going to be plenty of other outlets that are covering it, so please feel free to seek it out there, I guess. But like I do feel like this story should be told in animation.
Agreed.
And I think it's no shade to any of the actors who are now portraying these characters in live action, but I think this is a story that should have been continued in animation. And I don't know who it was on Twitter, but they were like, this being live action is a gimmick. And I kind of agree with that sentiment, because it feels like the we're making a live action Moana movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Ali Carvalho, and like that movie came out like 6 years ago, so it kind of feels like that. And I wish live action didn't feel like a step up from animation.
Totally.
Animation is a completely respectable like storytelling medium in itself, and has told some of the great stories of Star Wars. Like I think we're at a point where if anybody was like, The Clone Wars, not important. Most Star Wars fans would be like, are you crazy? Because of how revered that show is, just amongst the fandom. So this idea that like, oh, it's now getting legitimacy as a show or as a storyline because now it's in live action is kind of frustrating.
Definitely. As the great Guillermo del Toro has repeatedly said throughout the Pinocchio awards season, animation is cinema. Animation is not a genre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's a valid form of storytelling, as valid as anything else. And Star Wars wouldn't exist today as it does without animation, because literally the Clone Wars and Rebels kept us going up until The Force Awakens, and we got new movies and TV, right? So we have to acknowledge that. And I also wish this were an animation, because it'd be a really good story to tell in animation. That's all I'll say. So with that, I think we'll move on. Some other notable things. We mentioned the Star Tours destinations up front from the parks panel. Galaxy's Edge Volume 2. We got some more DJ Rex, some music, baby. I know. Next time I visit you when we're in the car, we can bop to some DJ Rex music.
You know what? We'll be able to build a playlist for the car.
You know what? There's no celebration next year. I can come for C2E2 now, because it was like the weekend before this year. So you know what? You know what? Is that Lou Malnati's I have on speed dial to get some more gluten-free pizza? You bet it is.
That's right. That's right. Amen. We love to see it. Come hang out with me anytime, please.
But let's move. Speaking of animation, actually, animation is cinema. We did get some animation news.
Yes.
Let's start with the Bad Batch. So Bad Batch, third and final season. I kind of felt this was coming, but I'm also still very sad about it, because
we liked season 2.
I know we did.
What?
And like now we start to like the show, and then it's like, oh, it's gonna end. One more season than Resistance got.
I hope with this is that they feel that they were able to tell the full story that they wanted to, and that the characters all get closure in a way that's, makes sense for their storylines. Because I think what we felt at the end of the 2 seasons of Resistance, even if it was totally planned in that way, was that we just really hungered for more of these characters, more of their stories, and felt that they had more to say. And I hope by the end of this 3rd season of Bad Batch, we don't feel like, oh, these characters have more to say before their story concludes. So I really hope for a good one. And I guess it makes a lot of sense that the 3rd season is the final season, just because of where we ended in season 2, which felt very darker middle chapter in those last 2 episodes. So yeah, I'll be curious.
It makes me more hopeful as well for a happy ending, which, if we know anything about the creative team behind Resistance, who is now working on the Bad Batch, they do love a happy, redemptive ending. And I think it seems like the show is sort of going in the everybody gets reunited direction. And, they all kind of live happily ever after, hopefully. Except for Tech, which,
or maybe not.
The panel. I don't know. They made a really heavy emphasis on how much Tech was gone, and we lost Tech, and all this stuff, and Tech's gone, and gosh, I'm gonna miss him so much, And it kind of like kept going too long, and I was like, they're really trying to sell this. I'm like, I wonder if there's more. I wonder if there's more than meets the eye. Maybe they're trying to really like make us convinced, and I don't know. I'm still a Tech truther, but. The trailer did featured Palpatine arriving at Mount Tantus, by the way, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting, flanked by Royal Guards, the Red Royal Guards. And there were also some familiar faces. Fennec Shan was in the trailer.
Yep.
Wolf was in the trailer, Commander Wolf. And Cody was also in the trailer as well. Good. So yeah, it makes me really excited. I think we're getting that big rescue mission that we've been talking about. And Echo is in the trailer as well, talking about Mount Tantus and the fact. So they obviously are going to figure out where Omega and Crosshair are being held. And there was also a shot of Crosshair talking to Omega, who, by the way, Omega has a new hairdo. She's got longer hair, a little bit, shorter hair, I think. Omega talking to Crosshair, and Crosshair is like, I'm not one of them. He said that kind of angrily. So he might still be holding some resentment. He's one of them. So Really good trailer. Very
Bestie,
exciting.
Look in the mirror.
Yeah. I can't wait for Bad Batch season 3. Honestly, it comes out next year. I'm excited. I'm more excited for season 3 than I was for season 2, and that's I think the power of the story.
Yeah. Cool. I'm in. I can't believe like out of all the things I could have predicted for this year, me watching the entire season of Mandalorian season 3 and also me going, I really like the Bad Batch, were not things that I had put on my own bingo card. But here we are.
That's growth. You've had your crosshair arc. This was your tipping point.
This is my tipping point. No murders involved.
Unless I'm the clone. You're going to have to carry me on your back through the snow.
Are you then going to die? I don't have the password to Anchor.
Well, now it's Spotify for podcasters, actually.
Oh, these changed? These changed?
Yeah. Anchor apparently got bought by Spotify.
Let's not become a Spotify exclusive.
Please no.
Only unless they offer us like a really good money.
Yeah, like maybe $1, which would be $1 more than what we get paid now.
What about $5 that we can split between the two of us?
Okay, you're getting the big bucks now. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe we can start saving up for Japan.
That's what I'm saying. That's right.
Sarah, why don't you talk to us about our next big announcement?
Oh my God,
we knew had already been announced.
You were there. You have to talk about this in detail, but I will just lead it in for you.
You preface it.
We love Visions. That's it. No, we love Visions, and when okay, guys, going back to 2022, the story was, we were so excited to be in the Visions panel. We were there. We knew Christopher Sean was in the building. Okay. And we were like, he's going to be here at the Visions panel. And then we had to leave the Visions panel because we had to go get our Kelly Marie Tran photo ops, which like was the greatest moment of my life. So like, I don't have any regrets at the end of the day, but I do regret having to leave right before they announced Visions season 2, which we got a lot more information about because it comes out imminently. So yeah,
I'm so excited.
I said it imminently very weirdly, but Brad, take it from there, please.
I think it's incredible that they went from this very small room in Anaheim to then the celebration stage. It was packed, by the way, full house, not a single empty seat. It was amazing.
I remember that room. It was so small.
And this was incredible. The
cool.
panel, which by the way, Amy Ratcliffe hosted, she did a fantastic job. They brought out every director, like 3 at a time, and gave each director a chance to talk about their film and what it was about, what it was inspired by, and who some of the cast were. Really excellent panel, I thought, to like go through 9 different animation studios around the world and talk about their stories. And I'm really excited that we are branching out and seeing like Star Wars through the lens of so many other cultures. I think that's like kind of brilliant, and seeing how different cultures infuse themselves into Star Wars is really interesting. And I can't wait to see more. I'm just so freaking excited. This is probably the thing I'm most excited for this year, honestly. At this point.
Can you talk more about which short to you're really looking forward to? And also, didn't they show you a short? Tell me more, please.
They did. It was funny. The one I was most looking forward to was the one they showed us.
Were you pleased?
I was very pleased. So they showed us I Am Your Mother, which is from Aardman, which, they're the London animation studio, I should say. They did, the Wallace and Gromit cartoons. Right. So they have a very specific, renowned, like recognizable animation style. I Am Your Mother is a story about this annual race that happens, that is put on by Wedge Antilles, who is also voiced by Dennis Lawson in the short film. And it follows a daughter and a mother. And Magdalena Osinska is the director of the film. And when she came out on stage and talked about it, she's a mother herself, and she said that she thought about her own mom as she was developing this, and she wanted to focus on motherhood because so much of the stories that we know and love are always about the father and the son, and she wanted this to be a quote love letter to all the mothers, because quite often they're overlooked and they're the real superheroes. And the moment she said that, I was like, Magda. This is like music to my ears. This is exactly like what you and I talk about all the time, Sarah, is like
Right.
the mothers in Star Wars and how they often don't get happy endings, even when they are represented, you know?
Right.
I sent this tweet to you when I tweeted it out with the quote, like what was your impression of that when you read it, and like what did it mean to you seeing this sort of vision, pun intended,
Wow,
for Star
beautiful.
Wars?
I mean, when we got that title initially, I was like, oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing that quote from her and just kind of getting that point of view solidified as to what I thought that her point of view was going to be was really satisfying. And I'm really looking forward to watching this one.
It was great. I was teary-eyed a little bit. It's a really feel good. I will, spoiler alert, the mom doesn't die.
Beautiful.
I will say that, which in the panel she said like a more positive spin on that too. Like this is not supposed to be a sappy story. I mean, it's a sappy story in the sense that like you get emotional watching it. But it is a really feel good story about family and about mother and daughter and about that connection and like making sure that that connection doesn't fade with age, you know, like as a kid gets older, and you know how it is being a teen. Parents
I was a teen at one point. Yes, I do recall. As much as I do not wish to recall, you know. No, but I'm really looking forward to this one, and I think it's so cool that the panel was so big and that things seem so good, and also the trailer, which kind of course, encompasses a little bit of everything. There's a lot to get excited about visually. Yeah. Okay. That first shot of like the Sith character walking in and lighting up the lightsaber and how that lightsaber looks, delicious.
Dragging on the floor too. Oh gosh, it's so good. I think you and I are gonna have a blast with these just from.
Oh gosh. Oh my god. Okay. I'm now watching it just like as we're going through this. The way that the it looks like paint splatters, like when they're.
Yeah.
Oh,
gosh, that
Visions
was
is so cool, you guys.
That was actually from I believe his name is Rodrigo. I'm blanking on his last name. Rodrigo Blas. He was the one that said, what if we could use the Force not only to fight, but to create art?
Oh my God. Yeah. No,
like,
okay.
What an
everything
premise.
Makes sense as to why the lightsabers feel that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
some notable cast, by the way.
Gorgeous.
We have Angelica Houston, Dennis Lawson, as I mentioned, Charithra Chandran, who's from Bridgerton.
Yeah, she's so
Daniel
cool.
Day Kim, who's joining the cast. David Diggs, Anika Noni Rose, who played Tiana in Princess and the Frog. Cynthia Erivo is in Visions.
Eugene
part of the
Lee
English.
Yang.
Yeah,
from the Try Guys.
there are some good, and those are just the English dubbed characters.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a full cast for respective countries, I believe. So yeah, that's really exciting. That is awesome. I can't wait. We'll be covering it here on the podcast as well in the coming weeks.
Bet we'll be covering it here on the podcast, guys. We're so hyped for Visions.
I'm hyped.
So hyped for Visions.
Yeah. Last year is also Young Jedi Adventures. So I got to watch 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes, it was pretty packed as well, I gotta say, which was very exciting to see. People were obsessed with Nubs. It seemed like the crowd reaction was pretty positive anytime Nubs was on screen, which I loved.
He's a legend. We've never even met him. I mean, I've never even met him yet. He's a legend.
There's a good vibe about the show. It's definitely geared toward a very young audience, but I also think it contains lessons that are heartfelt and make you feel good when you watch them. And I'll probably show this to my niece as well to see like what she thinks. You know, how I don't know, like maybe in a year I'll show it to her. She's like approaching, I think she turns 3 or 4 tomorrow at the time of this recording. So she's getting there. She's getting there when she can start talking, like really talking about stuff and kind of taking it in.
I think 3 and 4 is like the exact age range that the show is shooting for. So that's perfect.
Yeah. We're getting to the Star Wars age, folks. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's younger and younger these days.
Oh my God. When I show her Star Wars, I'm going to lose my mind. It's going to be so exciting.
To kind of transition into the publishing world, I do want to mention that Young Jedi Adventures is such a great opportunity for there to be books for young and beginning readers. And we are getting tie-in books for young and beginning readers with the Young Jedi Adventures. And I think that's great. Like, I think that's a great opportunity because sometimes you get the books that are either Lego for like level 1 readers, or there's like Rey, but like to have these particular characters, or like Mandalorian, like these particular characters who are specifically geared towards the youngest kids who are just learning to read. I think that's perfect. I'm really excited about that for young kiddos.
And we need stuff for kids. Again, we need kid stories. Like, we need Skeleton Crew. We need Young Jedi Adventures. We need all sorts of ages to be brought into Star Wars fandom. You know, this franchise does not survive without kids, without the kids who were introduced to the prequels or the Clone Wars or the sequel trilogy, you know? So this is a step in the right direction. That's for sure.
100%.
But yeah, you mentioned publishing. The Young Jedi Adventures takes place in the High Republic. So Sarah, we are a book podcast, believe it or not, in some ways.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that we're a book podcast? I was supposed to have been reading this entire time.
We've read quite a few of these books.
Yeah.
It was funny. There was a couple points this week where people were like, "Hey, do you read the High Republic?" But they kind of said it jokingly because they know like that's all I talk about and all I care about at this point in my life. Yes.
Me, the High Republic?
I would say the High Republic panel was as big and epic as last year's. Very full crowd. The queue was huge for it. Tons of cosplay. Amazing. And you know, I thought we were just going to kind of get some phase 3 nuggets at the very end, but like this was kind of a really phase 3 heavy panel. Surprisingly, like it was like all about phase 3 almost.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're not quite through phase 2. And we have a bit of time before phase 3 starts. Not like a ton of time, but a bit of time. So yeah, it was interesting to get as many announcements as we did, especially considering how long phase 3 is going to be running.
Yeah. So Michael Siglain said they're going to spread it out longer so that people have more time to catch up, and that they can kind of let it ride for as long as possible, which I think is a good thing, right? You don't want the High Republic to end too soon and then the hype dies down, and you know, you got the Acolyte coming out. So if that gets multiple seasons, you want to keep the books going. It's going to be a money machine, honestly.
Right. And I think that like it also just for reviewers, for fans, having one book come out at a time, I think really allows fans to not be confused about what's next. You know, like, because I think over the past couple of years, if you're not like all the way in it like we are, there's sometimes a bit of confusion of like, where do I start? What do I read? How important is it for me to read this one before this one or that one at all, you know? And what do I have to read? So I think this will provide more opportunities for people to chart their own path when it comes to the High Republic. And I think that that's a good thing for sure.
So let's talk through phase 3. Phase 3 launches this fall. It's set 1 year after phase 1. So after the events of Starlight Beacon crashing into the ocean.
Where is Belle?
Where's Belle? Where's Buryaga? Michael Siglain had a lot of fun with Buryaga this weekend. I think he was just like trying to inflict pain on people.
I believe that. I know nothing personally about Michael Siglain, but like, you know, if I was heading up the High Republic on a conceptual kind of level, I would just bully people about and be like, haha, let me put salt in the wound just for you a little bit. Here's Buryaga.
Yeah. When they announced the Secrets of the Wookiee book from Inside Editions.
Again, it's for me.
Michael Siglain was like, look, see, Buryaga's okay on this cover too. I was like, Michael, what are you doing? How dare you?
That was an attack.
But in all seriousness, so there were a couple moments this weekend where panelists gave Michael Siglain like a lot of credit and were thanking him. And I think I speak for both of you and I that Michael Siglain's a freaking superhero. I like the way that he has paved the future of Star Wars publishing in recent years and the excitement that he has around it. And the way that he like interacts with fans and stuff. I think it's really admirable, and I'm really happy that he's despite the teasing, we say this all with love, you know, like
of course.
He's a great person to be heading this up. So
yeah, it's clear that he cares a lot. So,
and I'm glad that he's out there on the stage with the authors too. You know, It's not just the authors, like he's always present and involved. So I think that speaks volumes. But But yeah, so phase 3 is set 1 year after. Jedi have retreated to Coruscant and the Nile have effectively won. Okay.
That's not Brad. That's not a good setup.
It's not. It's really
I'm
not.
trying to think about where we ended phase 1 in, and like, that's a lot of ground to lose.
Our first book, we're just gonna go through the releases. You want to just like, I'll take phase 1.
Are we gonna
take phase 2?
Popcorn?
Or you want to popcorn them each? Yeah, let's just popcorn them each. Okay. So phase 1 starts with The Eye of Darkness by George Mann in November of this year. This is a book that features Marcion Rowe, Elzar Mann, and Avar Kriss.
I love them. Anyway,
It's like kind of made for us. Anyways.
Our next book is Escape from Valo by Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong. It is a middle grade that comes out on the 30th of January, 2024. Holy moly, we're already talking about 2024.
Yeah. So we got 2 months after the first book, which
That's
again,
going to be so good for our coverage.
So nice.
We're not going to be stressed about reading 2 books at the same time.
We have no excuse to fall behind now. Anyways.
Don't bully me.
No, I'm bullying myself too.
No,
we're both guilty.
No, you're bullying me. I feel bullied. I'm calling HR.
Defy the Storm by Tessa Grattan and Justina Ireland. That comes out March 12th of 2023. That's the young adult book. So that's another month and a half after the middle grade book.
But then, wait,
there's more.
Okay, I was a little. It's already been March 2023, Sarah. Get it together. Brad just wrote the date wrong. Don't go crazy. Temptation of the Force by Tessa Grattan in summer 2024. Guys, gals, Jin will be back from the military. That's how far we're thinking ahead here.
Oh my gosh.
We got to put it in perspective. Jin will be back from the military.
Perfect.
Okay?
He can read Temptation of the Force as soon as he's back.
He's probably a huge fan.
Yeah. We have Beware the Nameless by Zaretta Cordova in summer 2024. This is a middle grade book.
That'll be great.
Love Zaretta writing again.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
And then we have Tears of the Nameless by George Mann, fall 2024. Hobie might be back from the military then. That's what we're talking about in terms of longevity. Okay. And that's our young adult novel for phase 3, wave 2. Got to really think about that.
Right. And so that's the end of wave 2. So wave 3, which was interesting. Michael Siglain said they're going to mirror the very first part of the High Republic, which was, Charles, Claudia, Justina. So they're going to end phase 3 with those 3 again. So we got Trials of the Jedi by Charles Soule, spring of 2025, mirroring A Light of the Jedi, Trials of the Jedi. It's all come full circle.
Right. And then we have Into the Light by Claudia Gray, spring 2025. Guys, we might have more BTS members back. Jim will be back. Hobie will definitely be back at this point. Brad is putting his hand on his face like, Sarah, get a grip. But like, this is we're talking a far ways out, but also like right around the corner. Okay. But I was looking at that title. I'll be really honest with you. And I was like, wait a second. I feel like I know this title. So you being like, they're mirroring each other. And I'm like, oh no shit. We were past that hour 15 mark. So anything goes at this point. Anyway,
right.
That's going to obviously be the young adult novel. Spring 2025. I will be 2 years older than I am now. Think about that.
It's interesting. Into the dark, Into the Light. What do you think Into the Light is giving? Is it like giving Into the Light, like embracing the light side of the Force? Or are you thinking like, oh, the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm going into that. Somebody's dying. We're all dying.
No.
Because my mind immediately goes like, I'm becoming one with the Force and the Force is with me. I'm going into the light.
Literally, I see that window behind you. I know you probably have a first floor apartment. Go jump out. Walk away.
How dare you? Now I feel bullied. I feel victimized.
Call HR.
In the situation.
Call
Fine.
HR.
I have a direct line. It's just look in a mirror.
That's a great point. I don't want it to be the latter. Make it the first one. Make it the first one, Claudia, please.
And the last novel that we have here amongst the 3 for spring 2025 is A Valiant Vow by Justina Ireland, which is a middle grade book. Again, she started with A Test of Courage, A Valiant Vow, right? So it's interesting, you start out with the test and now you're like going out valiantly, you know? It's interesting. I love that like sort of poetic beginning and end for the High Republic. And it's also kind of sad to think about that, right? Like these books have meant so much to us for several years now. It's gotten us through the pandemic and has reignited our love for Star Wars in many ways.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that by the time Celebration Japan rolls around, High Republic will be over. Allegedly, unless they add more.
Brad, it's time. It's about time. BTS will be on their comeback year. Probably, I think it's going to be 2025, the year that Brad gets
Someone
into
save
BTS
me.
for real.
I can't do
Someone
this.
come and save me. It's a song. It's a really good one. One of their best by BTS. Yeah. It's just crazy to think that we've spent so much time with these characters and in these stories. And like at some point it does have to end, you know, like, I don't know. It's bittersweet to think about the ending, but like it does feel far away right now, which I guess I'm grateful for.
Are there any titles that like jump out to you right away that kind of just make you wonder? Like, what do you think is the most painful title?
Oh, well, it's not Escape from Valo. That's the one I'm probably most looking forward to because I think that's going to be whimsy fun between Daniel Jose Oda and Alyssa Wong. But Tears of the Nameless as a title really sticks out to me. But also Trials of the Jedi scares the ever-living crap out of me.
You know, Tears of the Nameless is interesting because, you know, hashtag egg talk.
Whoa. On
phase
this episode?
Phase 3, the sins done to the Nameless, right? That's the whole...
It's always egg talk. You're right.
Just so whatever the sins were done to the Nameless created the tears. The Nameless got very sad. So perhaps Tears of the Nameless will be when we find out potentially what was the sin done to the Nameless. What made the Nameless into what they are.
Scary thought.
I know. I'm just saying, we're going to have a lot of egg talk here in the next coming 2 years. I'm excited. For some egg talk coming to you this fall.
I fear egg talk. Okay, but those aren't the only things. Yeah. We have a couple more things before we wrap up here. So like, don't lose steam yet, because we have The Edge of Balance Precedent, which is being co-authored by Daniel Jose Older, a new installment in the Edge of Balance manga. Looking forward to that. I feel like we read those very casually, but I've liked what I've read so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to that. And then we have the Tales of Light and Life. Is that what it's called? Anthology, young adult anthology that's coming out a little bit later this year. And it was announced that Alyssa Wong was going to be writing Crash following the events of Midnight Horizon in the Barnes & Noble exclusive version of the book. So I guess I know where I will be when that book comes out, and it will be at a Barnes & Noble, because I really like having all the content, and I actually prefer the cover for the Barnes & Noble with just the like High Republic Jedi logo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
But just to do like a rundown of the stories that are in there. Zoraida is writing Axel and the Mother. Heck yeah. Tessa is writing Marta Rowe at a certain point. We do not know. George Mann is writing Solandra Show and Rupert after Phase 2. Rupert in her Jedi Trials. Daniel is writing Ram Jamaram and Zine in a friendship story. I will be seated and with the book open. I love Ram Jamaram, as we know. Claudia will be writing Affy, Leox, Geode, 1 day/week/month is what Brad has written here after Starlight Falls.
Yeah, I think some of these stories kind of have multiple times that they take place during. So like, I think we're sort of seeing what the first day is like, what the first week is like, and what the first month is like for those 3 characters. Likewise, Charles is writing a Bell and Loden story. So there's like a point for Bell with Loden. And there's a point with Bell when he's looking for Buryaga within that same story. So it kind of covers multiple times, which is interesting. I think that's kind of cool. Like give unique perspectives depending on like where they are in their life.
Right. I'll be sad.
We also have Justina writing Vernestra in the aftermath of the Starlight Beacon falling.
Ouch.
Cavan's writing Keeve Trennis. Lydia is also writing 2 new characters that we don't know much about. And she's also going to be doing something called the Chronicles from the Inclusion Zone, which is going to be the serialized fiction for Star Wars Insider. which puts us like on the ground with the Nile in their specific Nile controlled zones.
Oh.
So that will be interesting.
Spooky.
I'm excited, but I'm actually stoked about the anthology. I feel like these have been really good in recent years with like the stories of Light and Dark and Jedi and Sith,
Right.
and for Light and Life. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. These are always like a can't miss book in my opinion.
Right. And I think that these ones, this one being YA, will kind of elevate the content that they're able to put in these stories a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. And then notably, there are some comics returning. Cavan's doing a main line, and Daniel Jose Older is doing the High Republic Adventures, which we got a cover for. And it featured a grown-up Court and a grown-up Zine, like very grown-up. They
Court?
Yeah, they're on the cover.
I didn't see this cover. Court and Zine? It was Court?
Court.
Now I'm thinking about Court and Farzala. Don't make me cry.
But yeah, lots of good stuff. We're going to be busy. We're going to be busy doing stuff.
Fortunately / unfortunately. Be so busy,
Yeah. I'm really excited for phase 3. I miss everyone. I miss Elzar. I miss Avar.
Yeah.
I miss Marchion. God damn it. I hate him, but I miss him.
I don't. But I do miss Elzar and Avar, and I miss Ram, and I miss all my kiddos. I love them.
You know who else I miss? I miss Lorna D.
Remember
Lorna D?
I haven't heard that name
in a long
years.
Speaking of which, she's on the cover for the character encyclopedia.
Oh, heyo, coming out on November 7th.
Very excited for.
We will be purchasing.
Notably, the pages that were shown had Avar Kriss on it, and apparently the diadem that she wears was gifted to her by Elzar Mann.
Shut the fuck up. I am gonna walk out of this window.
He is out of control. He needs to be stopped.
Wow.
Yeah. She's also 5'8", so short kings are still a chance for us. I need to know how
Are you
tall
calling
Elzar
yourself
Mann
a short king? You're not short. You're not. No offense, but you're not a short king.
I feel like it sometimes.
Brian Johnson is short king. He 5'4". You were taller than 5'4".
All right. Well, I had the impression. I was under the impression that Avar Kriss was probably like 6'3".
Like Avatar Kyoshi, tallest woman you've ever seen vibes.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely a tall lady though. 5'8's kind of pretty tall for a woman.
Yeah, I mean Taylor Swift's 5'11".
Really?
So yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's a small chair on the Eras tour. Chair is only like 4 feet tall.
Brad, I think we need to get back to talking about Star Wars.
All right, we need to get back to talking about Star Wars. Hey, you had your BTS moment. I can have my Taylor Swift and her Eras tour chair moment.
You can talk about Taylor Swift as much as you want. I don't care.
I probably lost some listeners at the hour 54 mark. Besides the High Republic, you just got 100 objects in the mail.
I did.
I got timelines. Big thank you to DK.
Yes.
We'll be reading through those soon. So if you have anything to share from those, we will definitely be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But Nemec's manifesto did make it into 100 objects, which everyone at the panel was very excited about, the publishing panel.
Mm-hmm.
We got a cover reveal for Art of Jedi Survivor. Jedi Brave in Every Way, which is the Rosemary Soul, Charles Soule book for kids, has a baby Buryaga in it. He's afraid of heights.
Buryaga.
He's afraid of heights. He's
That's
so small in the book. Yeah.
Very cute of him.
Oh my gosh. And then we also learned Cavan is writing Enric Pride and From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi, and Kristen Baver is writing Size Noodles.
Whoa. Pride?
Yeah.
And
Pride. And he's high on death sticks in the story.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
I wonder if Richard Grant will like voice that chapter. Could you imagine? They got John Hamm for Boba Fett. So
he should do it. Why not?
I think he should do it too. Yeah. That would be epic actually. But yeah, not much news for publishing. I think a lot of it's going to come out San Diego and New York Comic Cons.
Right. Yeah.
So those will be exciting. I will not be going to San Diego, but I will be at New York. So hopefully some good stuff, because we don't really have anything besides
Will I be at New
Delilah's
York?
book and EK's book. And you should. You should. They're going to have a Star Trek panel. You should.
They're gonna have a Star Trek panel.
They have a Star Trek panel every year at New York Comic Con.
I do love Star Trek.
Like every year. And
Let's
I went
make
to
it a
the
Star Trek podcast.
Discovery panel, like when I hadn't started watching the show, and I was like, shit, this seems lit. And I was like excited
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
before you had
Yeah, and they showed
Yeah.
the season 4 trailer, and I was like, oh my God, I need
Yeah.
to watch this ASAP. Not that I
Mhm.
didn't want to, but yeah. Anyways, you should go to New York Comic Con because it's awesome.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah, it's a good time. But yeah, that's all like the big news.
There's probably
Lots of
something that we
stuff.
missed, somewhere in
Yeah.
there, but we're just not going to worry about it.
We mainly wanted to focus on the things that were exciting to us the most, because otherwise we would be rattling off a bunch of information that doesn't really mean anything. But I thought this was a pretty decent celebration in terms of news, and just experiencing these announcements with people was really
Right.
exciting. I mean, that's the best part of it, right? Like, we read through all these news, but having conversations with people and seeing what everybody's most excited for, and that's the best part of it, walking the show floor and just talking to random people, and they're like, I'm in line for the Celebration store, and I'm hearing these two guys behind me who are talking about the High Republic and the Acolyte, and it's just so funny. Like, sometimes even hearing like more casual Star Wars fans talk about these things, and like what they attach to, and like what they're trying to figure out themselves. And I don't know, it's just part of like the ambiance of Star Wars Celebration, I guess, is you just get all walks of life, and it makes you realize like how plugged in we are to these things.
Yeah,
And
we're all
how fun
giant
Star
nerds.
Wars- Yeah, and Star Wars should just be like fun at the end of the day. I mean, I know we take this very seriously sometimes, and we have like, capital C conversations about it, but
Right.
it is just silly, and it's for kids, and we're just here for a good time. We try to be.
It's true. We try.
Yeah. What do you think about Celebration in Japan though? I mean, that's the next stop. I mean, have you been out of the country before?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I did
you go to like
I went to Italy.
Italy? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Asia?
I've not.
Okay.
And I think I'm like of course two minds about this. Like very selfishly, I'm like, oh, I really wish it were in the States. It would make it so easy for me, But that's the selfish thought. I'm delighted for Asian audiences and audiences who just generally live closer to Asia, who will have an easier time getting there than they would to the US or even London for a celebration. So I think that's a great opportunity. I am hoping that it is an opportunity for me to like a jumping point for me to do like a larger Asian trip, Japan, Korea. I would love to go to Thailand. So yeah, I don't really know what it means for me yet, but I'm hoping there's an opportunity there for me to do it. Because I think it'd be really cool in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And also
Oh my
I would
gosh.
love to eat in Japan.
I'm like a little worried because I'm a celiac, and I don't know how many gluten-free options there are. So that'll be interesting. But overall, I'm excited to visit and see what sites I can go to, and Disneyland Tokyo especially is something I'm extremely excited for. Like, I think the Disney parks experience has become so special to me, and getting to see like what other parts of the world offer for that is fun,
Yeah, totally.
I did not make it to Disneyland Paris, although some people did go for London, and maybe in hindsight I should have, but Celebration's already expensive enough, and I did that last year, and I did not want to do it again, or I would have needed another suitcase. Let me tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I was cutting it
Definitely.
close this time.
Well, you had the duffel you didn't use, so you could have used the duffel.
I know. Even I impress myself sometimes.
Proud of you, but also I know how much you spent, so
Yeah, I told myself I wasn't going to go hard at the Celebration store, and of course I was like, I can't choose between the souvenir jacket or the windbreaker, so I'll just buy both. Why not? And immediately my credit card company was like, credit card shut off. Goodbye.
No. Yeah.
They're like, we suspected fraud. I'm like, nope, that's literally me buying a shitload of merchandise. And they're like, oh, well, too late. I'm like, okay.
That's so annoying.
It's probably for the best, honestly. Probably for the best.
Maybe, but like, doesn't mean it should have happened.
But like, also, I can't eat now, but it's fine. I had a backup, luckily.
Right.
But yeah, that's it for our celebration recap. Kind of talking about the experience, talking about the news that we were excited about. Hopefully, you thought we had a good discussion about some of the news, and I'm sure it's pretty clear like what we're most excited for. If you are excited about something that we didn't talk about, let us know somewhere on socials, or send us an email. We'd be happy to hear about that. And
did we miss anything? Celebration, please let us know.
Probably, yeah. If you were one of the folks that came to celebration and came up to me and said hello, or that meant a lot, and I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you who still didn't make it to celebration, but listened to this episode and caught up on what you might have missed. But I'm just thankful. I'm thankful every day for the listeners that we have. It's really nice to see people in real life and be like, oh my gosh, this podcast resonates with people and people get joy from it. And that's like a weird thought to have sometimes, but it's nice. So I appreciate all of you. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you're here, thanks for listening. We really appreciate you. We're just two people halfway across the country from each other chatting. So it's nice. Thanks for joining us in these conversations. It's like delightful to know that, these conversations are not just two people.
Yeah, it's more Friends of the Force. Haha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But speaking of Friends of the Force, you can follow us on all of our socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as I mentioned up front. And subscribe to the show wherever you're listening and leave us a 5-star review if you could. Other folks will find the show that way. And again, it makes us feel nice. Makes us feel happy. That's always a good thing. Happier hosts, happier content.
I don't know how to roll on that one, but we also have
like not really any way to roll.
No, not
cringe.
really.
It's fine.
I'm not smart enough to just bounce off of that. We also have a Patreon, and these patrons really help us to keep the show running, to keep up just upkeep costs. And it's so boring, but like we're really, really grateful. And thanks for your extra support, because we know that you do not have to do anything. So we appreciate it. Thanks to Ben, Brian, Cheryl, Clay, Deborah, Dylan, D. Sizzle, Emma, Huang, Jennifer, Katie, Knights of Ren, Leanne, Levi, Lucy, Lindsay, Matthew, Rob, Saber Bouquet, Santa, Sky Talkers, Stephen, Tom, and Travis. We are very grateful for you. And again, we're grateful for everybody who listens, because you keep us on the air, even though we don't do this live. Thank you so much for being a friend and for being a fan of Star Wars alongside us. That's it. We're getting like a little like sappy in our 2-hour episode. We should like shut it off and go to bed.
Yeah, probably. Thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed your celebration or your celebration from home. And until next time, may the Force be with you always.